This message came into me from a client in an email this week, and he wrote, "Hey, have you seen this article? Should I be worried? And should I do anything differently? Thanks." Well, the article in question is from CNN.com. CNN, birthplace of 24-hour news and founding member of the Unholy Trinity of wealth destruction. And the article is titled, "Michael Burry of Big Short fame just bet $1.6 billion on a stock market crash." Quoting here, "Burry was famous for placing a wager against the housing market and profited handsomely from the subprime lending crisis and the collapse of numerous major financial entities in 2008. The event was chronicled by Michael Lewis in his bestseller, The Big Short, Inside the Doomsday Machine, and later adopted into a film where Burry was played by Christian Bale." The Christian Bale name drop is a nice touch, and we'll come back to that later. But Burry is now buying puts against the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 with about 80% of his hedge fund's portfolio. All of this according to regulatory filings. The author then goes on to say that Burry's bearish forecasts often get way more attention than his long or optimistic bets, and that his hedge fund has had an impressive return over the last 3 years. Okay, let's make a few points. First, why only mention the last 3 years of performance? Wouldn't it be a cleaner story arc to include 2008 onward? I mean, this dude had a movie made after him. Why is he even still working? Second, we don't actually know that he is betting on a stock market crash. The author didn't interview him. She merely assumed that from his positioning of the fund. Now, he may be positioning for a soft period. August through October traditionally are the least attractive months for stocks, but not necessarily a full-on crash. The word crash is clickbait, pure and simple. Indeed, the article mentions betting against a market downturn, but the editors bumped it up to a crash for the headline. He may be forecasting one, but putting those words in his mouth for a headline, well, that's just 21st century journalism at work. Third, should the average investor care what Michael Burry says? Well, he was right about 2008, wasn't he? Yeah, fair enough. But so was Meredith Whitney, who called it well at Oppenheimer and then predicted significant municipal bond defaults totaling, quoting here, hundreds of billions of dollars, end quote, in 2010. Remember that debacle in 2010? The one with all the municipal bond defaults? No? It's because it didn't happen. Now, I'm not picking on Meredith or Michael Burry. The cold hard fact is that prognostication is difficult. And if you get one big call right, people think you have some special ability. But the law of averages rules all of us. Even Michael Burry, who was calling for folks to sell in late spring. And I'll give him credit. He at least admitted to being wrong about that one. All right, lastly, I'd like to just summarize a few of the behavioral biases evident in just this one article. Okay, start with the hot hand fallacy. Just because someone does something once, twice, or 100 times in a row doesn't change the odds of it happening again. Mentioning Christian Bale, that was a nice turn of film/television personality bias, giving credence to an argument because someone famous is associated with it. And finally, there's recency bias, assuming that the last 3 years of performance at Burry's fund are representative of the whole. So those of you out there looking for biased journalism, here you have it. Let's answer the original questions. Should I be worried, and should I do anything differently? I can't tell you how to feel. But I'll tell you personally that if I got worried every time an article came out warning about the market crashing, cratering, or collapsing, I'd have been locked away a long time ago. As for doing something different, that's an individual choice, a tactical one. Each investor based on their individual factors, time horizon, risk tolerance, all that boring stuff that I've used to get people into retirement for almost 2 decades while Michael Burry is still working.